With only a few weeks to the January transfer window, the question has to be asked, over an absent Paul Pogba, is he still the answer for Manchester United's midfield?
I'm going to do something that I rarely do. I'm going to answer your question with a question. The answer to what? The answer to what? What is Manchester United now? And what is their plan for the future? If we look at what's out there, the players that are performing for Manchester United, whether you like those players or not, I don't think those guys are sitting there saying, man, we really miss Paul to be out here. Because I think the team has gotten used to playing without him. And you may or may not like what Manchester United does out on the field, but for as talented as he has been, you cannot call his time at Manchester United a success, because we rarely have seen the very best of him and what we expect from him and what we see from him with friends. We have not seen that with Manchester United, not with any sort of consistency. And so you have to ask the question as to what version of Paul Pogba are you expecting, and be careful what you wish for, and be careful what you think may be the best version of Paul Pogba now, because that's not the player that we have seen in years past.
The issue is they need someone to get a tune out of him, and obviously that didn't work under the previous regime, not really to any sort of sustainable future. And under Solskjaer, it's been so disrupted, and his part in it has been so sort of injury-laden that it's very difficult to see where the relationship has really been built. I mean, in 5 games this season, they've won one of those. It was the opening day against Chelsea. Apart from that, he's been unavailable.
And so it was easier last year to say, well, Mourinho is playing him out of position. He has him in a defensive role. He has him getting the ball from the center backs. And so therefore, he can't fully display all that athleticism that allows him to be a true box-to-box midfielder. Well, what's the excuse now? Because see, even with Mourinho, that wasn't working. And eventually, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer comes in, and then he has a couple of good games, and people are like, aha, well, there you go. That's a Paul that we wanted and that we love and we appreciate. And that lasted a couple of games. And it's what we have seen from him time and time again in Manchester United. A couple of good games, then goes and disappears for 3 or 4 weeks. Then a couple of good games again, and it just gives you a taste of what he can be, but that taste never lasts more than a couple of games and a couple of moments and a couple of situations in which you say, well, that's a talented player. Of course he's a talented player, because we see it with France. And that, I think, is the frustrating part, is that you see the guy win the World Cup with France and you're thinking, man, if only we could have that at Old Trafford every weekend. It doesn't show up every weekend. And when you cannot rely on a player to be available every weekend, then he becomes a liability for you.
A World Cup internationally, but domestically, or at least at club level, a League Cup, a Europa League and a second-place finish. Not exactly what 105 million euros was supposed to buy. I mean, he's in danger at 26, turning 27, of his career passing him by, isn't he?
Well, I think what's happening is, I don't know that he has taken in the responsibility of being the leader, the guy at Manchester United. Because if you're the leader and you're the guy, you take that on, you put it on your shoulders, and you want to see that emotion out on the field. But you haven't seen it enough from him. And so it's almost as if nothing sticks on Paul Pogba. It's almost as if whatever criticism comes his way, he's like, yeah, it has nothing to do with me. I'm not the problem. And you see it in the way he plays. And there's absolutely no doubt that this guy is a talented player, and a picture of athleticism out of the midfield, of vision, of a guy that can play a ball over distance, that can cover distance himself because of that long stride he has. But you don't see it. And so we only sort of talk about that as an anecdote, as something that we may have seen in the past and sticks in your mind, and you think, well, that's what he's going to do at Manchester United. When? When is he going to do it? He's not going to do it from the trainer's table. He's not going to do it from the bench, and he's not going to do it from the stands. He's got to be out on the field, and when he has been on the field, it hasn't happened either.
Yeah, it was the period under Antonio Conte and then Max Allegri, of course, reaching the Champions League final in which he flourished for Juventus, where we did see it. Finally, your gut reaction, what does it tell you? If he gets that move to Real Madrid, does he flourish under Zidane? Do we see that version of Pogba return, or does he continue to fall into the traps of the problems that you've already outlined about the way he goes about his business?
Well, and here's the other thing. In Manchester United, it's been very easy for him, at least in his mind, I imagine, that he says, well, I can't work with these guys. Look at the players that I got around me. What do you expect me to do? There's not a real talent level here. That's not the problem at Real Madrid. It's not like a talent that you're going to find. And so what I would think is for Paul Pogba, it limits any excuse that is available. So if he were to go to Real Madrid and he is put in that midfield and he sees all the talent available to him, now you have to perform. There are no more excuses. There's nothing to lean on. There's nothing to say and push back and say, well, that guy can't do this, that guy can't do that. No, no, no. These are the best players in the world in their position. And so therefore, you have to be the best player in the world in your position as well. Without excuses, without anything to lean on, it's on him. And so now we will see whether he can be that guy or not. I think he seems to be happy with just being a complementary piece and let other guys take the pressure. At Real Madrid, there are a lot of guys that can take the pressure. Maybe it frees him to do the things that he can do in the field and express himself the way that we have seen at times in the past.
Okay, well, we're getting close to decision time, really. A year and a half left on his contract. They've got an option to extend him, but it doesn't seem that would be a likely fit for either player or club. Maybe this January is when Real Madrid actually make their move. We'll see. Pogba expected to return for Manchester United shortly. Maybe that frees up a few more options.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.